All right, folks, welcome back to another segment of Through the Shuffle. Today, we are sitting down with a creator who's been making waves, bringing worlds of magic digital and storytelling. We have with us Inkville. How are we doing today?
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm doing great.
I'm glad to have you. So,
I really appreciate it. It was kind of a surprise.
yeah, I'm glad. Listen, I know it was kind of sudden. I know it was a little bit thrown together, but that's kind of where Richard comes into play. You know, he's a cool guy. He's the mutual in between, and holding us down.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Well, yeah. Thank you again.
So, but let's get into it. Let's start with the climb. How did you first find your lane on TikTok in the MTG space? Was it intentional, or did you just start posting?
It wasn't necessarily intentional. I actually got on TikTok because my ex-husband, who I'm still really good friends with, he actually got me into magic, and I think I get that hyper focus thing, and I needed more people to play games with and to learn more. I was just like consuming magic content constantly, and so TikTok seemed like a good place, and I just wanted to learn more and kind of figure out what I liked and everything like that, and to just like find a community and a space to play more games, because I needed more friends to play Magic with. And so it kind of spiraled from there. I was talking to Rip Pull Repeat, one of the rules and interaction guys, in a Discord server one day, and I was like, I'd like to make Magic content, but I don't know what I want to do. And he was like, well, just start doing it. Just post videos and keep doing it and see where it goes from there. And that's how I kind of ended up being the self-proclaimed queen of mono black, because I just post content about like weird and obscure mono black cards, or like popular cards, or new cards that are coming out, or funny interactions that I have with people with cards. That's how I ended up here.
Got you. Okay. Now it makes sense about why he threw that homage of a card into the intro. I get it. I like that. Okay.
Yeah.
I see the little things. That's what I'm talking about. But see, I'm glad that you're here. And I'm glad that you had people push you into making that content and deciding to step into it. Because now that we have you, I think you're at 2,500 and something followers?
I'm creeping up to 2,400. Yeah.
Okay. There we go.
Yeah.
How's that? How is that for you, having that many followers?
I've only really consistently been posting content for about a year and a couple months now, so to have that kind of growth, like it makes me feel like, hey, maybe like I am doing something right. I am filling a gap where one was needed. So that's kind of cool, and I just like to think that I'm contributing a different voice to the community and to the narrative, and to just talk about stuff that you don't necessarily see all the time.
Makes sense. I understand that. Now, with the topic of community, there's no hiding the fact that, like many others, it can be a double-edged sword, especially for women. So how have you navigated both being visible and vulnerable in a space that will struggle to objectify and gatekeep women?
So on a lot of my videos, especially the really exceptionally mean cards, I definitely like to lean into the fact that I'm okay with being the villain. And that's just kind of the role that I tend to take on, and just very much live in that masculine energy, even as a woman, because I feel like sometimes we do have to. Otherwise, it just doesn't go great. Like, there's been a few experiences at a couple of my LGSs where I just was not having a good time because I was being a little more on the soft side, or I was, just like not necessarily being a bully. I feel like sometimes I have to kind of lean into that like villain arc, because otherwise I think as a woman, you just, you get mansplained your deck with someone that doesn't even know how you built it, or you just get kind of oogled and ogled frequently, and then you feel like you're a distraction to the actual game, or you kind of get talked down to, and it's not an exciting experience. But I will say, for me personally, I've gotten very lucky in the community and the space that we've been in the fact of I haven't felt that way very often on in the Discord servers that I'm a part of and in the communities that I'm a part of. Have there been one-off instances? Of course. But I'd say overall, the community hasn't been terrible for me personally, and I think it's just because of the energy that I try to bring to the table.
Got it. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense, and I understand. And yes, there's definitely been some talk in the community of some things and unsavory things. And if you wouldn't mind, you can deny this, but would you mind sharing one of those experiences with us that you've had at your LGS? So that way we can connect with you on a deeper level and understand the things that you do go through as a woman, so that other women out here in the community know that they are not alone.
Yeah, of course, I'd be happy to. I mean, one specifically was I did a tournament about about 2 hours from my hometown in Colorado. And so it was just me and my buddy, and we've been playing Magic together for, he's helped me build decks from the beginning. And so we decided to go and do this tournament together. And at one point I was just wearing what I normally wear, which is like a band tee that I kind of cut the neck out of just because like sometimes they're just too hot. So, and too tight around my neck. So I just cut that out. And like, I have a big old chest tattoo and everything. That's something that's just a part of who I am. And, what's unfortunate is that sometimes you can't wear what you like to wear or what you want to wear because you're just being stared at, and it's really uncomfortable. And so that was probably the hardest part about doing this tournament. I was the only woman participating. Like, there were other women there, but they were there to support their significant other for this silly tournament that was going on. But I was the only one participating. So there was not a single pod that I was in where I didn't feel singled out or looked down on. I think that was the hardest part, was like, I've only been playing Magic for about 3.5 years total, I think. Maybe 3 altogether. And it almost sometimes feels like that people can tell just because I'm a girl that I don't have as much experience. That's kind of how it feels for me when they're looking at my plays and, hell, even how I shuffle. So that was probably the most jarring one, just because of how saturated it was, male versus female. And I felt uncomfortable pretty much the entire time that I was there, unless I was with my friend that I went with. Then it felt more comfortable because I felt like I was with someone safe and that someone that understood me and everything like that.
First of all, I just want to say thank you for sharing that story. Second of all, I'm sorry that you felt unsafe in a community that's supposed to be about the gathering. Even something as simply as, you being a new player and, just wearing something, like you said, that you are comfortable in. It shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter if you shuffle a certain way. It shouldn't matter if you are playing a deck a certain way, because you built it. You built that deck, not them. They didn't put the time, the effort, or anything into that. So for them to take the time to try to mansplain or tell you this or that, it's absolutely not right, and it should never be done to anyone, regardless of that.
Right. No, I completely agree. It's kind of bonkers how often I see it happen and I hear it happen, which is kind of what deters me from going to my LGSs in the first place.
That makes sense. That trust me, that definitely makes sense. I have had some unsavory experiences and heard some stories. But I'd like to move on to the next question. The next question being is, how have you pushed back against, the curve? And again, what I mean by that is, how have you been able to push your narrative to be able to put out the content that you want without falling underneath that microscope, without being judged and without being stopped and having to fight to have your platform?
I think, and this applies to everything that I do in my life, and I only laugh because, like, I'll share. I'm going to share the elevator speech version of a story about how I became a hairdresser, and basically it was, I was going to join the Army, and I wanted to be a helicopter mechanic, and my dad said, "That's a terrible idea because you have a problem with authority." And I promptly said, "No, I don't." And, went through all these different motions. And then I finally realized, oh yeah, no, he's right. So for me, in everything that I do, I always push back on stuff that doesn't feel good. Like if it doesn't feel good for me, I'm going to say something about it. I'm going to have an opinion about it. And I'm not going to be rude, but I'm going to be loud. And that's kind of what I've always done, is everything that I do, if it doesn't feel good for me, I'm going to say something about it. And you're going to know about it.
Got you. That makes sense. Now, off of that question, what advice could you give up and coming women who are trying to get into the Magic and Gathering scene, and how they could, navigate themselves and put themselves out there?
That's a great question. So I love that question, because I think what they could do is don't let anybody else say anything about what you're doing. If you enjoy the content that you're producing and that you're putting out there, enjoy it. There are going to be people that want to come at you in the comments and everything like that. C'est la vie. Like, it is what it is. They don't get to dictate what you do. And I don't think it should be like that for anybody. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. Like, it doesn't matter. How people treat you in your comments is not a direct reflection on who you are and the content that you're producing. Now, with that being said, you have to have a community. I feel like you have to have a whether it's like one other person or a massive, community of people that you play with on a consistent basis to back you up. Because I feel that has been what has helped me a lot, is people know, like, I have this community that is watching my content, that is supporting me, and they're helping push my content. But I think it helps to have the right kind of people pushing your content. So, you don't want a lot of negativity, you don't want all of that, but you still want, you still want those kind of edgier thoughts and opinions, because then it can help produce more talking points for you and whatever you're wanting to put out there.
Got you. And I think you made some great points. But with that being said, that leads into my next question. What does support really look like for women and, female creators in the Magic the Gathering TikTok scene, Reddit, whatever community it may be, whether it's tabletop? What does support and allyship really look like to you guys? What can we do?
That's also a great question. For me personally, support looks like, obviously, I don't want to be objectified every 2 seconds that I have someone in my comments or in my DMs or sharing my videos, everything like that. Like, that's not support to me. That you're just objectifying the fact that I'm a woman and I play in a male-dominated hobby. So for me, it's respecting the content that I'm producing. If you don't like it, that's okay. You don't have to like it. But if you know somebody that would like it, like, hey, she just dropped this video on this card and this reminded me of my friend, share that to that friend. Or I think really that's what it is for the bottom line, is like sharing our content and supporting us in the way of not being like, oh yeah, she's hot, I'll share her stuff. She's not, I'm not going to share her stuff, because that's where it starts to kind of feel like icky for all of us. We just want to post fun, cool content that people enjoy, and we want people to see it. So that's the best way that you can do it, is like, even if you don't like it, share it to somebody that you feel like maybe that they would vibe with. So reposting or just sending it to friends, and then commenting if you have something that you want to comment about that particular video and what we're talking about.
Nice. I like that. I'm going to have to start doing that too. I'm going to have to start doing that. All right. Now, this next question is a little bit personal. And I'm just curious because you've paved out this presence, but also a tone, lyrical, dark, sharp. That's who you are. You know what I mean? You're this queen of mono black. How much of that is a shield, and how much of that is you giving the world what you wish had been given back to you?
That's a really good question. I have a really hard time with vulnerability. I always have. But as the more that I have created content, the more I stop giving a shit what people actually think about me. And I have been letting that guard down more and just being more myself. And my content has actually improved from that. So obviously people can tell, like, hey, she's being a little bit more real now. We like that. We want to see more of that. And that's been really good for me. But I mean, as an example, like what you guys get on my page, on my TikTok page, is very much, especially as of recently, who I am as a person. Like I love the dark and, gothic kind of stuff. My favorite movie of all time is Alien. And that's just the kind of stuff that I like. I can't help it. That's just kind of who I am, and kind of also like how I grew up with my family, because I was constantly shown, pop culture and maybe the darker side of it, because my dad was very much, he loved horror movies and he loved to scare the shit out of us every Halloween. And he would joke and say that he didn't like decorating for Halloween, yet the house was like, roof to porch, it was just done up. So I think it's just something that was kind of ingrained at a very young age, that I like the spooky, scary stuff.
Okay. Now this one is not a personal question, but this one I really want you to think about.
Okay.
If you had to step outside of yourself for a second and describe what it's really like being a woman navigating the Magic Gathering scene on TikTok, the beauty of it, the burnout, the battles, the breakthrough, what would your honest thoughts be on?
Stepping outside of being a woman in magic. I think the best description now, because I don't necessarily feel like there's a whole lot of safe places for women, is the story of Sisyphus. So I feel like women are constantly pushing a boulder uphill, and then it's just rolling back down when something happens. That's the best way that I can describe it, and the best way that I can think of it.
All right, now I like that. Now my follow-up question to that is, how can us as a community help keep that boulder at the top of the hill?
That's really good. So I think it's not necessarily, I don't like anybody being bullied for any reason. But I do feel like the more, how do I put this? I feel like the more sexually aggressive stuff that we see as women should not be acceptable. I really don't think that that's something that we should have to deal with. on a regular basis. Like, I feel like as women, we should be able to wear what we want, look how we want, everything like that. We should have that body sovereignty. And I think as a community, to help with that is just when you see something, whether it's in a comment section or during a game or anything like that, you see somebody acting a fool, say something. Because sometimes we're too nervous because, again, we're surrounded by the opposite sex and we don't know what all of you or what all men are thinking. So we don't know if you're on the same page as this person or anything like that. But if you see it, say something. And if it makes you uncomfortable, say something.
Got it. Makes sense. I like that. And how I see that in my understanding is you guys don't necessarily want a shield in the Magic the Gathering community. What you guys are looking for are allies, people to stand next to you guys and show solidarity. Show that even though this may be a male-dominated space, a woman can do it too. And a woman can damn sure do it better.
Sometimes. It depends on the deck.
All right. Listen, I do have one final question to wrap up this whole interview, which I think has been going amazing in my opinion. And that final question for you is, for the next woman content creator who's unsure if there's a seat at a table for them at their local game store, just online, or just in the TikTok community, Magic the Gathering community in general, what do you have to say to them? What is your message for them?
My message is that there's always going to be a table for you, no matter what. It'll be at my table if they so choose so, because I want to see more women kicking ass in Magic. You know, I want them to feel like they have a space, which is I've been very lucky in the Discords that I've been in and the teams that I've been a part of and the community that I've been introduced to, and I would say over 98% of the time, I feel very taken care of. I feel very seen. I feel very much like everything is fair. So for those women that want to join and be a part of this community, you know, hit me up for a Discord server link, or if you just want somebody else to play with randos on Spell Table, I'll play with you. You want me to help you find an LGS that I have heard feels more woman friendly, I'll help you find one. That's what I've done as a hairdresser, and I will do it as an MTG content creator as well.
I really like that, and I appreciate you and your time, and I appreciate your message for the future content creators, whether it's on TikTok, whether it's on Facebook, whether it may be anywhere. So.
Yep. It does not matter what social media platform you are using. Would find me.
I'll make sure to get your links. I'll make sure I add them to the end of this video. Listen, awesome. I just want to say thank you for your time again. Remember, this is Through the Shuffle, where knowledge is power and power is completed.